In his 2008 work, Digital Curation for Science, Digital Libraries, and Individuals, Neil Beagrie notes, in the right conditions, papyrus or paper can survive by accident or through benign neglect for centuries, or, in the case of the Dead Sea Scrolls, for thousands of years. In contrast, digital information will not survive and remain accessible by accident. It requires ongoing active management from as early in the life cycle as possible. Readers and content creators face a complex problem when it comes to resisting ephemerality in the web, and the scope and complexity of that problem is only now permeating the public consciousness. In the context of academia, the problem has been referred to as reference rot, because it affects the integrity of academic references. Reference rot consists of two distinct problems. Each requires specific actions to address it, both on the part of web archivers and individual content creators. The first and most well-documented problem is link rot. Wikipedia defines link rot as the process by which hyperlinks on individual websites or the internet in general point to web pages, servers, or other resources that have become permanently unavailable. In the context of academia, link rot can mean that the target of a linked academic reference no longer exists, and readers are unable to check up on sources or follow linked paths for more information. The second problem, which is less well documented but equally problematic, is content drift. This is when the linked to source material changes and becomes no longer representative of the content that was initially referenced. As Zittrain, Albert, and Lasig explain in their 2013 article, this can happen if the organization providing the source material changes its views and purposefully updates the original source to reflect its evolving perspective. Content drift can also occur when hypermediated content on the source site is altered without the direct or purposeful involvement of the site's author. As Bolcher explained, the purpose for hypermediated content is to transmit verbal information, but also to provide an appropriate visual experience, and through that experience to dictate an appropriate reaction to the stories being told. If the hypermediated content changes, the reaction it provokes can also change. This, Zittrain and al. Claim, leaves the citing paper vulnerable to footnotes that no longer support its claims, and that vulnerability threatens the integrity of the resulting scholarship. Of course, concerns around the ephemerality of hypermediated online content don't just threaten the integrity of citing scholars and professionals, they threaten the integrity of the authors of the rich multimedia websites in question, who for the most part don't realize just how problematic their complex websites actually are. Kassad, Reiger, and Alexander explain that as a range of new media are integrated into digital works, these creative objects are becoming increasingly vulnerable due to dependence on many technical and contextual factors. In their discussion around enduring access of rich media content, they also note that a single work can comprise an entire range of digital objects and dependencies, including media files in different types and formats, applications to coordinate the files, and operating systems to run the applications. And if any part of this complex system fails, the entire asset can become unreadable. Davis suggests keeping web-based artifacts as simple as possible to ensure that we're not reliant on too many outside applications. But even when we try to keep our website simple, we can still run into problems. For example, did you know that Getty Images recently made most of its pictures free to use, on the condition that users insert them into their work using embed codes? For website designers, this at first seems like a good thing. Getty holds access to many historical and otherwise important images that can help express the message that the web designer wants to convey. The upside of this for Getty is that they retain control of the image. Should they wish to make that image inaccessible, they can, simply by changing the code. Embedded images are not native to the host platform, they're native to the source. As Brandon explains, on an embed-powered web, a change in contracts can leave millions of posts with no lead image or completely erase a post. This has implications for embedded YouTube videos and Twitter feeds too, and the website designer can't be 100% confident that the embed code that they've used will always display the content that they've targeted. Further, the source application can easily drop ads and other links into the embeds without the website designer even realizing it has happened. Robin Davis asserts that educators play a role in perpetuating this problem. They train students to become public scholars by encouraging them to conduct web-based scholarship and create rich multimedia artifacts. But they don't always tell them that their own web projects might be doomed to disappear, and that the record of their online scholarship might be riddled with holes by the time they're on the job market. So what can we do to preserve our digital scholarly work and to ensure it continues to represent the messages that we want to convey? Several archiving initiatives now exist, and they're becoming increasingly robust. As Davis points out, though, archivability correlates strongly with accessibility, and both are inversely correlated with using cutting-edge technologies. The fewer outside applications and files our websites rely on, the longer they can remain intact and the easier they will be to archive. Which brings us back to how we experience text in the World Wide Web. As readers, we frequently find our smooth movement along the hyperlinks of the web blocked by broken links, or are mystified by websites with conflicting and often bizarre combinations of drifted hypermediated content. We're repeatedly reminded of the medium while we're navigating the text. As creators, we come to realize that compromise is necessary in the genesis of our online scholarly work. We must decide between the powerful but short-term affordances of the hypermediated web environment and the less effective but more durable affordances of simple creations that don't rely on multiple external applications. There's no room for complacency in a system that is constantly dropping links and shuffling information, when so many different and disinterested actors are involved in maintaining the stability of our hypermediated content. Unlike papyrus, much of which lingers in museums and archives to this day, digital content needs near constant hand-holding, and concerted efforts must be made to keep it from devolving beyond recognition within just a few short years of its genesis.